Hey there, Chatai. How you doing?
Good. Thank you, Calvin. Nice. I'm doing fine. Thank you for having me. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm really good. I'm really excited that I'm able to have you here for this TKYT session on what you've been working on and components. So, warning, I'm a little bit fired up on components land because I just finished hosting a Twitter space about
Yeah, I saw
headless,
that. Yeah.
yeah, headless components, UI components. So maybe we have some of that energy here. All right, so but before we get into it, could let's meet you. So could you introduce yourself, tell us who you are, what you've been doing, and most importantly, a fun fact about you.
Sure. I'm the founder of PrimeTek. PrimeTek is a UI component library vendor. We have a couple of UI component libraries, all open source. And since I think I've been working with UI components since 2008 with Prime Faces. The first one was Prime Faces for Java surfaces, and this one. And then we
Yeah.
created the Prime NG for Angular, Prime React for React, and finally the last one was PrimeView. And we have a couple
Mhm.
of new ideas like web components and things like
Oh.
that. That's our only job. I mean, in the past we have been doing some other things like, but now solely we're focused on UI component libraries.
Hmm. Awesome, really. Great job with PrimeTech. I seen PrimeTech, Prime Faces, Prime View, which is what we're going to talk about here. Then Prime React. It seems you all are orchestrating or I've been working with a lot of UI components and so how long have you been doing this? Like when did it start for you? UI components.
So I was in London in
Hmm.
2008. I was waiting for my work permit from a
Okay.
company. Then there was a economic crisis in 2008. So I got
Hmm.
fired up. I got laid off, and during that
Oh.
time, during waiting for my work permit, I started Prime Faces as a hobby project. And then after
Mm.
2 years, it like took off. I get back to Turkey from the United Kingdom, and then I created a business around it, like support, consulting, training, and
Mm.
yeah, since 2008, like 15, 16 years now, as I've done all sorts of components. So I'm the component guy, I think.
Oh, wow.
I've created more than 100 for many different Blazor, .NET, Vue.js, React, Angular, JavaScript, Java, .NET, whatever. I mean, I'm the component guy. I think.
Yeah, awesome, really, because of course we've been diving into like 80 plus Vue UI components. And it's really interesting that something as, I wouldn't say commonplace, but today we sort of have a lot of UI components, right? Um,
Yeah. Sorry.
that's fine. So there are a ton of UI components today, and to build a business around providing UI component support, consulting, training, that's really interesting. So what made you think like the value proposition for UI bespoke or good UI component was really that big to like build like a business around it?
It's quite hard. I mean, at the beginning, we were actually I was working alone. Now we are like 16 people, full-time developers working on it. Yeah, we grew
Wow.
lately because I mean, it was impossible to maintain all these libraries by yourself. So it started as with Prime Faces, and the only way to make a living, paying the rent, was the consulting mostly. I traveled a lot, and PrimeFace for Java was really hot. I mean, many Java companies, enterprise companies were using PrimeFaces. So I made a living out of it. Then technology changes. JavaScript libraries have taken the world by storm with Angular.js and React
Mm-hmm.
and Angular and Vue. And so I decided to, after realizing that I may not survive with PrimeFace alone, I converted the UI components to JavaScript. And so right now, actually, we are not doing any consulting and training. Uh, I tried many different things. I mean, from stupid things like selling the documentation, selling
Oh.
something that all the bad things that you can imagine, all the bad mistakes.
Uh-huh.
like shooting my own, uh, it's like so. Then yeah, I mean, with trial error, because I tried many things to make a living
Mhm.
out of this, and still I'm managing, and 15 other people are managing. But lately we have decided. I think the turning point was the templates. We
Okay.
started to sell application templates like the ones you can see on the Theme Forest or Envato.
Mm-hmm.
There there are some agencies and people who place their templates, but we have our own store because we don't want to
Okay.
provide commission. We can do it ourselves, all the payment and display. And
Mm-hmm.
so we started selling templates, and then we created blocks. We got that idea from Tailwind UI.
Yeah.
So because those templates can be bloated because people do add many things to make their application templates stand out, and that there are even some templates that use PrimeView libraries because they get the data table from us and toast and alerts from other places. So then we created the blocks as well, and we have now the UI kit for Figma. So we are also selling that, and
Oh.
also professional support in case we have the Discord and GitHub discussions. We try to get in touch with everybody, but some companies say that okay, we have funds. Do you have a support contract that we don't want to deal with Discord or GitHub? You should just provide us a private channel. Mostly enterprise companies. We also provide those services. Says yeah, and it works okay. I mean, we are making a living, but we need to do more like subscription based services and increase annual recurring revenue. But instead of services like consulting, training, our focus is on add-ons, and we have tried to do it in a way that there should not be any paywall. I mean, the users should still be used the open source core. The UI library component library should always be open source and free, no
Yeah.
paywall, and that should be. And we are gathering a community behind it. It have the open source fun, being a part of
Mm-hmm.
community, and then
Yeah.
offer optional add-ons like templates, some themes, some UI kit, and things like that. Like maybe Team Builder is something we're working on, where will be able to build your own theme and the blocks and things like that. Yeah. Also, maybe some commercial components, like many component libraries, they have avatars, drop downs, let's say tab views, tabs, accordions, select
Yeah.
mostly. But our full-time job is creating UI component libraries. So we will also do some advanced enterprise stuff like event calendar, spreadsheet, Gantt chart, flow chart, and
Mm-hmm.
advanced stuff as well. So that makes it different from maybe other libraries.
Mm.
PrimeView is kind of different from in Vue ecosystem. There are some nice libraries, but
Yeah.
I think most of them are community driven. So
Mm-hmm.
but this PrimeView is kind of different. It's like full-time people are working on it. We don't have. If you check out the website, there's no. It's kind of clean. There's no sponsorship links or ads or something like that. And there's no VC investment involved as well. So we are kind of free on what we want to do. And yeah, that's the main difference, I think, with PrimeView. And maybe that's why the development speed is faster, I think, because it's like a survival. PrimeView
Mm-hmm.
must be successful so that we can make a living. It's not a hobby project. It's the main thing.
Yeah. I feel like the web dev, software engineering is sort of like vast, and it's good to have all these different ecosystem and people building and providing services they want to do. Like you're more like so they're like full open source projects that are community based, like you said. It's all sponsorship based, but this is like a business, and that is totally fine as well. I think Tailwind Labs with their Tailwind UI, that is also a business, even though it has an open core, which is also good,
Yeah.
where you like, for the
Yes.
baseline, you can do whatever you want to do with the open core things. But if you want quality, you can pay for it, which is fine. Like I normalize paying for software all the time. If it really gets me from point A to point B and I really need it, definitely. So yeah, I really like, I think this is the first time we're having a not complete open source driven sponsored person on the show, where it's more like you are a business of giving open source software, but of course there are add-ons that are actually paid. So yeah, that's definitely fun to see. So I want to ask this question because, like I said, I just came out from like a headless UI component space. In your opinion, for after building components for this long, UI components are not just like a hobby or like open source, but this is your business, that it is really critical that these components are good. Like, what makes a good UI component in your opinion?
I mean, since I've been doing this for a long time, the trends change. The requirements are kind of same, but kind of trends change. Now, our motto is your components, not ours. So, I mean, the component library author, the component developer should, the first question that they should ask to themselves is, who are you, for whom you are developing this component for? Is it for you, for your company? It's like shared library that you share between different projects. It's like for whom? I mean, in our case, it's for everyone. So it's like it should be generic, but we have some different things. For example, a drop down. Yeah, I mean, every library has some sort of a drop down, a select component, let's say. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it should be accessible. Many people just omit the accessibility. So many enterprise companies just look for accessibility, and it's not. And for accessibility, you cannot just throw some area attributes and things like. There are many techniques to implement that. You can use a semantic drop select hidden inside, so the browsers think that that's an actual select. Um, and for example, if I use the PrimeView, we provide a lot of events, like anything, like opening, closing, selecting, something like that. Keyboard support. We provide events and slots as well. The user should be able to customize everything with slots, change the icon, change the templating of the inside. And lately we have taken this another step, like that headless idea. I like headless, but I think it's just maybe it's too much work, because I mean,
Okay.
you have full control over the DOM, but we kind of go with the route of unstyled. So we provide we don't style the component if you set the unstyled true for globally or for the particular component, and
Okay.
the component removes its styling. Usually we have styles like p drop down panel, what you expect from something like that.
Mm-hmm.
In unstyled mode, they're just not there. So, and we have provided something called pass-through. Then we have exposed the component internals, so you can add attributes to the component DOM structure. Usually components are black boxes, right? So you
Of
access them
course.
with a tag. It may be a lot of elements inside, like a table, or it may be just the avatar, like in a simple image. In a drop-down case, you have an overlay panel, items like a drop-down icon, the main thing. What we provided access to them so that you can add classes, attributes, area attributes, IDs, anything. Like if you like to want to add a test ID, data test ID, you can do it without waiting for the library author. So if you need the assistance of the library author, then it may not be the best thing, because you have to go to the issue tracker. Hey, I need this event, I need this slot, I need this property. Can you add it? But now in the PrimeView case, users don't need that. They can just add the attributes themselves with the pass-through. So since the pass-through and unstyled is a nice match, unstyled removes the classes. With pass-through, you can add your favorite CSS libraries classes. And
Yeah.
the Tailwind is a great fit. Uh, maybe Uno CSS is a great fit as well.
Yeah.
Bootstrap and Bulma not very nice, because they have some predefined components. They have a button class, which it expects a certain DOM, like a drop-down class. It
Yeah.
expects a certain DOM, like the children should be a div span. It just restricts you.
Mm.
Maybe it's good for headless, but not for unstyled. So what we provided a way to style the components with Tailwind. And since I think users will have a hard time going through all the details, we provide presets to get them started, like Lara, a couple of them, so that they can fully customize their select with Tailwind right now. So
Mm.
I mean, in summary, I think the answer is that the UI, the components should be as customizable as possible. I mean, events, properties, and it should be so generic and dynamic that you don't need the help of the library author to customize it, to extend it. You should be able to do it yourself. That's the next wave of components. In the past, you just provide some props. You just restrict the user with everything you do. It's kind of opinionated. I think the components should be unopinionated.
Yeah, I think that's a third angle because from the space I was coming from, right? We're all about headless or fully styled. I personally I don't use a component library because I feel they are the ones I've seen they're too much of a work to learn their APIs and try to make it conform to your needs. So
Yeah.
I just stay away from them personally and sort of like trade off like the bespoke accessibility I would have gotten if I'm using one of those. But I feel like I do not want to because like just like you said, right? We are building it for me and not for you. Most UI components feels like I have to learn someone else's DOM and behavior in order to like, make my own UIs, which was kind of weird for me, really. But I think you have a perfect mix, especially the idea of unstyled. I think it makes sense. I really want to see really, really shortly. But before we get into that, right? Let's talk about pass-throughs. So in Vue land, I know pass-throughs in Vue. So for example, if you have like my button component and with Vue pass-through, you could put an at click attribute on my button component and it passes through to the actual DOM button, right? And I
Yeah.
found that so powerful because I just can have like a base component and I could just even classes can pass through and attributes can pass through. It's just powerful. So did you find out something to leverage upon while you embrace your pass through nature of prime faces, like
Yeah.
prime UI components?
Yeah, I mean, the pass-through is kind of right now exclusive to PrimeView. It's a killer feature, but
Oh.
that's thanks to the power of PrimeView. So
Mm-hmm.
sorry, the Vue.js. For example, we have also managed to do it for React, but we are not able to do it with Angular right now. I'm just
Okay.
tweeting about the Angular team. Can you just add this feature so that I can bind anything to the DOM element?
Yeah.
So Angular is, I mean, it's good for application development, but not the ideal one to develop UI libraries, UI components.
Mm.
But Vue.js is the sweet spot. I mean, it's like a heaven for a UI component library author because those inherit
Mm.
attributes thing. With that, we are able to pass attributes to any DOM element. So we have taken advantage of that and built these pass-through features on top of so based on vbind actually. So you give
Oh,
vbind
yeah, of
everything.
course.
So
Mm-hmm.
and then it just distributes it. Events without the vbind, we were not able to do it. Angular, I'm
Mm.
asking for from this channel. I mean, from your show. I'm just if any
Yeah.
Angular developer is listening, and please add pbind.
Yeah.
ng
Yeah.
bind.
Okay. Yeah. I like
With
I know a
React, you
couple.
can do spread operator.
Yeah, of
You can
course.
pass
Yeah.
anything, but Vue is just even Vue does many things for you that we don't have to code many
Yes.
things. So yeah, the pass through is the key, and thankfully, thanks to the Vue team for coming with
Mhm.
something like that. Maybe that was not their intention, but maybe that is, who knows.
Yeah, like I just feel like I've been a Vue developer like for most of my web dev life, and
Cool.
yeah, what Vue does a lot really just I just feel it simplifies web dev. I've never done a UI component, but just for my building my own apps, like literally today I was using like a base button component, and because of pass-throughs I know that I can make like a primary button and I don't have to like bind props or anything. I just put a class in there and it will fall through. It's just really, really powerful what you can do with that. Like we take
Yeah.
it for granted, but I'm really happy to see that you took advantage of it and it sort of like give you this leverage to like make really extensible and customizable UI components. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was really interesting. So we started it, then another idea came out. So we can bind classes. So why
Mm-hmm.
don't we provide an object with the Tailwind classes so that the
Oh,
components themselves doesn't know if they are styled with Tailwind or something,
of
CSS or
course.
Bootstrap. That's the key. That's the example of your base button. I mean, you just throw
Yeah,
something and
exactly.
but the component is not dependent on any CSS library, and it doesn't know that the
Yes.
button doesn't know how it's styled.
Yeah. And I think as it should be, right? Because that's what makes it a little bit um reusable because it's not coupled to any styling.
Yeah.
So literally I could put my own custom classes there and it doesn't really care. All it knows is that it's taking in classes. Or I could use who knows CSS or Tailwind classes. I could literally just do anything and it doesn't care. And I think that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and think of from our point of view, this
Hmm.
is a product, right? And it has to be
Yeah.
some sort of future proof. In the past,
Yes.
we've even used jQuery UI in 2000s, and then we tried with Bootstrap wrapping use. Then Bootstrap is not. I think it's just popularity is going down. Now the Tailwind is hot these
Yes.
days, these years. Maybe who knows? Maybe in 2 years, maybe some other things. So we cannot really depend on something else. I mean, it should
Yeah.
be design agnostic and future proof. So that's why we have taken this route. And in
Mm.
anything else comes up, we can provide the plugin, and then we will be fine. I hope we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. Like, at least you would know you've done a good enough job to future proof
Yeah.
the usage for, like, of course, software changes, scope changes, design evolve, and patterns also change. But at the very least, you've done a good enough job. So, yeah, let's talk about PrimeView,
Yeah.
right? So we have Nox UI, we have Vuetify. I know the entire philosophy of about like from what you've said, Prime View, Prime Faces, and everything is accessibility, customization, and of course, it's a product, so it has to be good. So, if a Vue dev today that is already used to UI components, right, they have certain expectations. What would you say like would be like a selling point for them for Prime? Because these people, they're not like me. They use UI components. They use Nox UI or maybe Vuetify or whatever is out there. So why would they want to use PrimeView today?
You know, yeah, I mean, UI component library is not for everyone. For example, just in case, in your case, you're, I
Hmm.
mean, we, uh, we have some users in that I've seen as well. I mean, uh, they just want to be free. They just want to build their own components. But maybe for mid-sized to startups, maybe enterprise companies, it's not an option. And some
Yeah.
companies are actually building their own components built on top
Hmm.
of PrimeView, unstyled.
Oh.
So because I've been working with some of their users and they have their own library, they are tasked with creating their own shared library. Like they need models, accordions, tab views, but they don't want to implement everything accessibility, everything sortable tables, row grouping. And in the enterprises, there are some heavy usage of tables and grids with some
Yeah.
like frozen columns. I mean, and they have tight deadlines, so they use the PrimeView unstyled and they style it the way they like it. And that's so. What I've seen from our late discussion with the users, that they wrap the components, which I suggest. So suppose that you are creating a table, it should be like my table, like base table. Inside there should be a prime table with unstyled, so that you, like the views magic, you can just pass
Yeah.
properties, and you can even restrict which properties are exposed, and you can even
Mm.
customize slots, and you can pass slots in Vue, which is awesome, so that you can do
Yeah.
many things. And so, what makes PrimeView different, like from the rest of the pack? I think it's a product. I mean, it's not like hobby project. I think there are not many examples in. I think the Vue ecosystem is there was a bit behind. I think UI component library wise, it's
Yeah.
better than Angular because Angular is Material and Prime Engine a couple. React has a lot of nice UI libraries,
Hmm.
but Vue is like was trying to catch up, and even you has tweeted something like that. We need to catch up and
Yes.
something like that. So what makes PrimeView different? It's a product. It's like full time people are working on it. It has to be beneficial to the company, and it has to be. Our goal is to be the de facto standard. I mean, if you are using Vue.js, the first option that you may consider is PrimeView, and why? Uh, of course, I'm checking the competition, like the Vuetify. I think Vuetify was, for example, very nice for Vue 2, version 2,
Mm-hmm.
but they have some issues with upgrading to Vue version
Yeah.
3. like not able to bring many components. It was too late, and many users have migrated to PrimeView or other libraries as well. And it's strictly based on material design, which is not for everyone. It's kind of getting old. I mean,
Mm.
and I think that's the thing. And there's a new wave of components. There was a Kajar as well. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but it's Kajar. And so it's also material design, but it's not just a UI component library. They also have nice, it's like a kind of, it's like its own framework, like Nox, which is, generates
Okay.
mobile apps and SSR built in, and there's all material components. We have Nuxt UI. I think there's a community project Radix with Shatsian combined, and there's a couple elements and Naive UI, a couple of
Yeah.
But I checked all of them, and the main difference is that you can see it. The PrimeView I think is the most professional looking one, because for
Hmm.
example we have 3 full-time designers that lately we have decided to update our design game. We have a brand new theme, brand new showcase. And we didn't have any presence for Vue 2, just a couple of months. Once we created the Vue 2 version, Vue 3 came out and we just quickly ported it. And so that's why, like, if you check out the download numbers, we have just passed Kajar, and we are heading to the land of Vuetify JS. And Vuetify's, most of their downloads are from Vue 2. And if you check the version 3 downloads, it's not that much. So I think the professional look, professional support, being unstyled, you being able to use a Tailwind, pass through stuff. I mean, many of them are not available, and they're just very strict. One of them is material. One of them has Tailwind classes inside, strictly Tailwind classes, which may not be super easy to customize if you have just static classes inside the component.
Mm.
I think the extendability and the professionalism makes it, and it should be something that I should not be the one telling you. You should be able to just get it if you check out the website and the showcase, the
Hmm.
design. That's the thing. I mean, we should not be doing any video. Why PrimeView? That's why we don't have
Mm.
something like this. It should be like you should fall in love with the design and the components. You should say, "Wow! I mean, this stuff is cool." That's the idea. Developer experience, I think, the key.
Yeah.
Will you
Wow.
use it for your next project? That's the
I
question.
think,
Will you use it for
yeah,
your next? Will you suggest it to your friend? That's the question.
yeah. Like I'm being honest right now with everything you've explained and seeing like your perspective of components. I'm really tempted more than any other UI components out there to go check it out. Like I'm not even kidding. Like I've seen the rave of everything, even headless UI. Even though I use Tailwind and it's from the Tailwind folks, I didn't even touch it because, like I said, like I already have my reservation. But the way you're talking about PrimeView is very tempting. So I feel like
Yeah.
maybe for the next 10 minutes, you just want to like show me some because you have 80 plus Vue UI components out there. So let's see if PrimeView.
Okay. Let's see.
Yeah.
Should I share my screen?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's primeview.org. This landing
Ooh.
is okay, but we have a new killer landing coming up. We will
Yes.
provide new sample applications like dashboards, mail, tasks, chat. There will be a list where you'll be able to toggle between them. And so this is the new theme. This is the Aura theme, which is the new one. It looks better than before. We have a couple of themes. So regular features like AD Plus components, styled or unstyled, a huge community, more than 150 million downloads on Prime,
Ooh.
all the libraries combined. And
My.
so, you can have support, accessibility. I mean, we have spent like 4 months on this. It's not easy, man. I mean, this accessibility stuff.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
many enterprise, like Fortune 500 companies are using Prime. Maybe PrimeView, but I think I've seen some. I mean, I cannot talk about them, but many.
Yeah, of
I've
course.
seen some very big companies using PrimeView as well lately.
Mm.
So, for example, this is the table. You can switch between different design, like material or Bootstrap, because PrimeView is design agnostic. This
Okay.
is the paid stuff, like, Tailwind is free, as you know, and Tailwind UI is commercial. That's the key.
Of
So
course.
this is Prime Blocks is some, if you need some blocks. Blocks and components are different for us. Now, blocks is like a hero section or a landing section. Marketing,
Okay.
application, and components are different. Same,
Yeah.
those
Like
premium
pricing too, right?
templates. Yeah, these are also the paid stuff.
Mm-hmm.
In case you like. There's an open source version as well called Sakai, open source template. So we usually provide many open source stuff and some paid stuff. So if you
Mm-hmm.
go to the, you can have a dark mode as well. This is a new one. And for example, let's check out the components. It starts with that. We have some new guides about how to use it without the CDN, with build tools like Nux, and we have a playground as well. Some text in case people like reading. Not many people will read this part maybe, but in case people like reading, what makes us a bit different? Like, what's the idea about Prime? So let's check out, for example, the calendar. You have regular calendar, but you also have, month picker, range picker, and things like that. Multiple dates can be selected. And also we have, let's check out the drop down. This is the select. For example, if those select components, for example, one type
Mm-hmm.
of user likes highlighting the background of the select. I'm just
Yes.
using
Mm-hmm.
keyboard. It's keyboard accessible. I just focus
Wow.
to it, hit alt down arrow. I can just use this with the keyboard, and it's
Mm.
readable by screen reader. But some selects use the check mark. If you set, for example, check mark to true, then you get this
Oh,
approach. So
yeah.
you don't need to build it yourself. It can be editable if you set editable to true. So, and you can have grouping, templating, virtual scrolling available. If you have like 10,000 records, if you're crazy enough to display them in a drop down, you can have, and it's like using our internal virtual scroller. And it's like, if you set virtual scroller, then you will have some performance science, lazy loading enabled as well, and things like that. And for example, if we check out the data table, which is one of the, not many libraries have this complexity for tables. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
some even don't have tables. So it starts with the regular, pagination and things like that.
Yeah.
But you can also have filtering. For example, here I can have a filter, like I want these users with qualified, and I want to have this advanced. For example, it should contain Romania inside. And
Wow.
these are quite simple to do, because we have, for example, to implement this, you just need to add your filter data,
Mm.
and you can customize those filter elements as well. That's kind of like the headless stuff. We provide kind of headless stuff using templates, so that you can use an input text or a multi select or a drop down for your filter elements. And you
Mm.
see that kind of like the headless logic, we pass you the model and the callbacks and things, so that you can bind these callbacks to your own DOM and
Mm-hmm.
to do but the filtering, it's done by the table. Of course, we have like expandable rows, and in expandables you can have nested tables like master detail, editable cells, and row editing in case you need something, scrolling with frozen, maybe frozen columns. You can see, you can just fix balance. These are all dynamic. And virtual row grouping, I think it was quite fun. If you set scrollable to true, group rows by, okay, I want this table to be grouped using representative name, and I want this to be scrollable, and then you get this scrollable table. And
Oh, wow.
if you set resizable columns, you get resizable columns.
Mm-hmm.
In case you'd like to make it like Excel, you set column resizable expand, so it should expand it doesn't change. It changes the overall table size. Reordering, reorderable columns, reorderable rows, Excel export, column toggler. Stateful is very nice. I mean, I just worked on this a lot myself. For example, if you, this is funny and this is quite powerful. If you set state storage to session, if you go to another, so for example, you sort the table, you page it, and then if you go back to, even you close your browser and then come back, it displays it like this. So it keeps it in the local storage or session storage, wherever you like it. And if you close your browser or your tab, your window, when you get back to this page, the table will display it like you left it. So it's all built in. I mean, for this, you just need to say, okay, I want this to be stateful, and it should be in the session storage. So we have, I mean, for the dialogues, for example, you can have, for example, we can change there's a new noir mode as well. For example, if you like the black and white, this is like a different UI. For this, you have to use the theme switcher and change the primary color, and you will get a nice looking dialog. Dynamic dialog, sidebars, menus, charts. The toast is quite nice as well. These are the new features. And all in all. So you have two options to style it. Once this is the styled mode, which will be replaced by myself by the end of this month. Right now we are using Sass and using Sass variables. You need to include a CSS file, and now we are migrating to CSS variables, and the theming is moving to the core. It will be, I will do a small demo as well, but yeah, you have material themes. That's the nice thing about it. For example, if you check out the input text, we have a float label. So this is the default one. And if you check out material theme, for example, you get field version, and you can also change this one. Yeah. And you can even have it like this. So you have different options, but you don't need to choose a library based on the style. If you like material design, you can use PrimeView with the material design option, which is cool. And let's check out, the three tables, everything is ready for you, and tab views. And I like this one. File upload, everything. So you have two options to style it. Styled mode, unstyled mode. With unstyled mode, you can use it with Bootstrap, for example, or CSS. I have created some examples here myself. Like, for example, you have an input text with form control, buttons, and data table. This is the PT stuff. So we are exposing the table element, and the Bootstrap table element expects this table stripe. So this is the same table with Bootstrap styling. We also have the Bulma examples for, there's a Bulma Vue project.
Yeah.
I think it's not maintained anymore.
Yes.
But you can use it with something like this. And some word about pass-through. Okay, so the pass-through is like, this is a panel. And in the panel, like a drop-down, maybe if you check out the pass-through, this is the DOM, right? The built-in DOM. So we are adding a new viewer for this to make this simpler, but the dynamic viewer to see all the available keys, inputs, clear icon, everything you have access to. And with this access, you are able to style it the way you like it. For example, this is the panel, and I'm just adding some classes to the panel ID, something like this. And, there was an example, like a user asked about something like this. So they had this thing, like what they wanted is that when the user clicked the search icon, they want to clear the filtering, which is not, this is like there for like cosmetic purposes. What we did, like we provide an example that this icon is exposed like search icon. And with
Mm-hmm.
PT, you can bind an on-click event to the search icon, where we pass where you have access to the component to reset the filter. So I sent the user a reproducer like StackBlitz example, like I do code sandbox, I'm not sure. So how to implement custom behavior as well. If this was like a traditional library, I had to go to the GitHub, ask for something like, please add a click event to this and provide a clear search method so that I can just call. But in this case, users don't need to wait for us. They can just do it themselves.
Yeah.
And pass-through is quite nice. Here, you can also edit globally. So all the panels should have this header, for example, all the panels, so that this is like the root of the Tailwind presets.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
also have
Yeah.
the Figma UI kit, and we are also working on something like converting the Figma to theme, which is coming up in the next quarter as well. We have our own icons called Prime icons, more than 400, I think, which we provide as open source. And you can also use any icon set you like material icons, SVGs. Everything provides templating. And these are the
Yeah.
templates. For example, this is a paid version, and this one, where's Sakai? Sakai is a free version. I think it's the even free version is kind of quite nice. You can just get it
Yeah.
from GitHub.
They're looking really good.
Yeah, the Apollo is like have maybe more options, like different drawer options, like slim, primary color, maybe dark mode, and things like that. Something more options, let's say.
Yeah, definitely.
And the Prime blocks is currently, you have more than 400 blocks, like, for example, stackless blocks are like simple sections, just this one, for example, that you can, for example, we have the free blocks, just marketing, application, e-commerce, everything. I think this is common practice for UI libraries to generate revenue to sponsor the project. I think many of them are doing this approach lately.
Yeah, it's really good, really. I think so.
But yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I love. I think this is a lot, and I think I like everything I've seen so far. And like I said, it's been a long time I've been excited about the UI components. So this is
Okay,
that's
then
saying something.
then I have still something in my sleeves. If you go to
Oh,
the Tailwind, so suppose that you are using Tailwind, right? And
I
you'd
am
like
using
to
Tailwind.
style your components with Tailwind, because you have your own colors and things. And if you choose this one, for example, if you check out the button here, which is
Hmm.
still opinionated, right? I mean, you are kind of limited to what the library maintainer provides. You cannot
Yeah.
add easily. I mean, this one is fine. Buttons are fine. Just buttons are simple elements. But for example, the drop downs, let's see, drop down. Okay. So the drop down, you would like to use the Tailwind shadow here, or Tailwind paddings here in this panel. Tailwind hover, slate 100 or something like this. How would you do it? These are styled. This is not the approach. The better approach would be the tailwind.primeview.org. So
Hmm.
these components are styled with Tailwind. They may look the same, but they are styled with Tailwind. And there are two presets. You can just, since Vue's reactive approach, we are able to inject a preset. So what is a preset? For example, let's check out the drop-down preset. The formatting is kind of wrong here. We are fixing this, but the drop-downs trigger elements should have flags. These are all Tailwind classes, and wrapper should be max 200 pixels, and paddings. These are the built-in ones. This preset is Lara. This preset is Wind. We will have a material preset and Aura preset. Two more presets coming up, and these are global, so your usage doesn't change. So this is still the drop-down, and what you need to do is that, for example, with width, you do simple thing, but you said PrimeView should be unstyled, and I need the global PT. I'm just adding the Lara preset. So this preset contains the Tailwind classes for all the components. And you said, okay, use this global preset, and you can still easily customize this because these are not imported from npm. You
Mm-hmm.
just copy them from, and we also have a CLI tool that you can use this Prime CLI add dropdown. So these are the source code is in your application, so
Yeah.
that you can easily customize the classes and add your own. And for example, if we check this approach, you will see that the configurator is different, like because you have 15 different options with dark modes, and you have a couple
Mm-hmm.
of dark modes. The surfaces, you have different dark modes and different light modes as well. And the nice thing about is this preset. For example, input text looks like this. No, the size, it's like kind of bootstrappy look, but if you use the Vint preset, it's smaller, more compact, and the
Mm-hmm.
focus is different because it's like every preset defines their own style. This one has different focus ring and so on. And finally, you will have a builder. You can choose which components that you want. You don't need the whole library, probably, right? And the gallery is like an interesting idea. For example, using React's popular library Shadsia and Dialog is like start with this. And if you like a material switch, a glassmorphic login, all these are unstyled. A material input and a material snack bar, for example. And finally, this building a UI library. So that's the topic I'd like to talk about finally before wrapping up. So this is a common approach that I see. People don't want to use a third-party library most of the time. Maybe they just want to build their own, but at some point it's like it becomes a tedious work, not because they're not able to do it. They can do it, but it's like they need resources, they need time, they need to do it, accessibility, styling, everything. And what I've seen from companies that requirements are almost the same, like tables should be sortable, right? But the UI is entirely different. So what we did was, for example, if you check out, for example, I will show the end result like this.
Mm-hmm.
This is the end result. And I will show it from this one because, 1 second, gallery. Okay. So what you need to do is that here, building a UI library. How to build your own UI library. So you create your own toggle switch and you place an PrimeView input switch, and you see that magic vbind attributes. I'm setting inherit attributes to false so that I pass everything to the input switch mostly. And I define an additional property called label as an extent. And here's the preset. I'm setting it. I'm using a PT pass-through preset, and here is my preset. This is my Tailwind stuff that
Mm-hmm.
I choose. And since I wrap it inside my own Vue file, I can use it like this, toggle switch something. So this is my own component, but you see that the default one is styled like this. But you need something like this, which is where there was a demo as well. Yeah, this one. This is the demo. This is your component. I mean, the styling is entirely up to you, but all the accessibility, everything is you
Yeah.
can just plug in your own.
You know,
And I think that's it
yeah.
for now.
Like,
For now.
and then, yeah, I feel like this is amazing. I'm personally more interested because a while back, I started working on something called the boring stack or the boring JavaScript stack,
I
right?
know. I know. I
Yeah.
know.
Oh, okay. You already know that. So I told someone like just me, like I know I don't like UI components, but it's a pain to always have to, especially now that I'm giving people templates to work with. I was thinking like, what sort of UI component can I just have that I will feel comfortable shipping and also working with? Then I just came up with like the boring UI in my head. I don't know what it's going to be as, but I feel like if I could use what you just showed me, which is building your own UI library, if I could use PrimeView unstyled to do this, is something I'm really, really, really wanting to experiment with. I think I might just do that because even now that I'm working on a commercial product of mine called Hackfish, I'm at the place where I need it has invoice management. I'm at the place where I need a data table, and I was going to roll my own, TR, TD, and TH, but seeing what the PrimeView data tables could do, I'm I would definitely try it, even for just like Hackfish, and see how I can roll like the bone you out of it, even if it's not grand like Nox UI. Or I don't want to rival anybody. I just want to have something I can use that is accessible first of all, and I don't, especially accessibility for me, and all these common things that I don't have the expertise to do. Like when you were showing like the multi-select select
Mm.
box and stuff like, I don't really care so much to want to be able to know how to do all that, but they do look good when you use them. So I feel like definitely like what Justin was saying on the space that I was on, it was like at a point you need to know that there are experts at this stuff that you could just rely on. And my distrust before was like I don't really trust the expert's opinion totally. But I feel like I want to experiment with this PrimeView, especially the building your own UI component, and see if I could bring up boring UI. So if you're watching this, anyone, this might just be the start of boring UI. I'm going to bring another UI component to the world, but based on styled Prime View. But I don't really care if anybody uses it or not. I just want the templates for boring stack to use it and my own applications to use it, and I'm good, really. So, so thank
Awesome.
you, Shatai.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just glad that glad you like it. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, if you find, I totally get your idea. I mean, if
Mm-hmm.
you the components should be are created to help yourself, to help you. I mean,
Yes,
to
please.
speed. If you find yourself struggling, if they're getting in your way, if you're trying to overwrite their CSS, that's
Mm-hmm.
not the way to go.
Yes.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, that's what many years of experience, because we've done all sorts of mistakes, believe me. So,
Yeah. Of course. Like
this is the end result.
yes, and I really like I think this might be there was some other project that I'm adopting because they've really been so long and made a lot of mistakes. So now they've actually gotten it right and it's really, really solid. It doesn't come to mind right now, but I sort of like want to trust tech that has evolved and the mistakes have been made. And is for your case, like why I even trust you some more because you are 100%, this is a product, right?
And
And
it will
this is a
stay. It
business.
will
Yeah,
stay. It will stay. If
exactly.
I mean, this guy, PrimeFace, is 15 years old. 15. I mean, we're still getting updates.
Wow.
PrimeView is, maybe you've not heard of PrimeView because we were doing mistakes in 2018, 19, 20s.
Yeah.
Now,
I,
since last year, we had changed our mindset and created this your combos and others, and people start picking it up. And
yeah,
it's a journey. I mean, you cannot expect everything to start from the ground. I mean, you have
of
to make
course.
mistakes, learn, and just keep improving. But this is a product, and it will stay uh,
Mhm.
for a long time. Hopefully, I mean, it's not a hobby. It's not people. If people don't
Exactly.
know the names of the developers, actually, they
Hmm.
don't know the names. I mean, they just know the product. That's the key. I mean, if some
Yeah.
developer leaves, maybe something happens, they want to change their career. I mean, there's a company behind it. That's the one advantage.
Yeah. So definitely, like I said, I'm definitely this is not the end. Like, sometimes I have guests on the show. I really like the tech. I never tried because this TKYT was made primarily so that I could be like a T-shape engineer. So I have where I want to focus on, but I also know and I'm aware about all this other tech that's happening. So, but this particular one I want to pursue because boring UI was on my mind since late last year. I told someone about it, be like, well, building accessibility is kind of hard. I'll be like, yeah, I know, but just think about it. Like totally different. But I want to pursue this. So thank you so much, Shatai, for
Thank you.
this.
Thank you.
Yeah. So where can folks reach out to you, or where can we find out about PrimeView? Do you have anything you want to plug? Plug away.
Uh, sure. We have our own Discord server. It's
Okay.
Primeland.
Mhm.
There's an invitation link at
Yeah,
the
I
top of
will.
the and there
Yeah, I will add
and
it to the
there
description. Yeah.
and there's also GitHub discussions. And I'm
Okay.
usually at Discord in case you would like to. I'm the
Yeah.
I'm there, and there's also my Twitter handle. Maybe you can add it to the links as in case.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
also have a small YouTube channel where I
Oh.
try to add some tutorials whenever I have time. I'm not a YouTuber, but just try to add some tutorials time to time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's so. What Let's wrap up with maybe the roadmap
Mm-hmm.
to see what's coming up.
Yeah.
So we have this new start mode is coming up. I just
Yeah. I think
have
you have
I
to.
just yeah, this the
Okay.
new one is coming up. It's the CSS variable based approach.
Mhm.
It will
Yeah.
be like Tailwind's PrimeView configurator, and we will finish the Tailwind process. We have a couple of remaining components, and we have a brand new set of components like layout components like grid, simple grid, typography, and drawer and stepper. This is done actually. We have some news, and RTL mode is many users, uh, Eastern European maybe. Middle Eastern users are asking for RTL support as well. That's scheduled for second quarter. And drop. I don't think that Vue has a nice drag and drop utility library. We will provide these as open source as well. And there's some new Figma tokens. We are syncing the Figma tokens to our new theming so that people can generate Figma tokens.
Yeah.
And uh,
Yeah.
and
Just go
yeah,
ahead.
a lot of many things. Please check out our roadmap and see, and the advanced components are also coming up. And I think that's it for me.
Yeah. Thank you so much. My lighter went off again, but I will find a way to fix it doing
Okay.
post production. But yeah, thank you so much. This has been amazing, and I'm definitely going to
Thank you,
try it
Kevin.
out. And so yeah, thank you, Shatai.
Thank you for having me, and let's keep in touch. Thank you, Kevin.